Hello, thank you for the opportunity to talk about OBIS, the Ocean Biodiversity Information System. I'm Ward Appeltans. I am the Marine Biodiversity Program Specialist at IUC Unesco. IUC is the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission of Unesco. We have functional autonomy, which means we have our own assembly that decides on the program, and we are represented by 150 member states. Within the UN, we are a competent body for marine scientific research. We also recognize for capacity development and transfer of marine technology. We are the custodian agency for SDG 14, and more in particular, target 14A, regarding to increase of scientific knowledge and capacity, and 14.3 related to ocean acidification. The UN General Assembly also gave us the mandate to coordinate the UN Ocean Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. And of course, the Ocean Decade is related to many more SDGs. But let's go to OBIS, the Ocean Biodiversity Information System. We integrate marine species observations of about 200,000 marine species. We have more than 130 million records, but 24 million of them are related to DNA sequences. We integrate more than 5,000 data sets. We add about 300 to 400 data sets per year, so like one data set per day, and about 1 million records per month. These data are provided to us by over 1,000 institutions from 99 countries, of which 21 are small island developing states and 16 are from Africa. Scientists use that data to produce scientific papers, and about 200 of those are published per year. Our contribution to marine biodiversity research is recognized by the UN General Assembly in their ocean resolution. The official language adopted by IUC is that OBIS is a global open access data and information clearinghouse on marine biodiversity for science, conservation and sustainable development. OBIS is more than just a system. We operate as a network. I already mentioned more than 1,000 data providing institutions. We also have 33 national, regional or thematic nodes who do most of the data processing, data quality and publishing of the data, and then we seamlessly harvest everything and integrate everything into one single database. We have very important partnerships also with GBIF, you heard it talk just before me. And of course, we have a large variety of data users. Here is a global map of our national, regional, and thematic OBIS nodes. You can see we have a nice global coverage. Of course, there are still gaps to fill. In terms of partnerships, I would like to highlight the partnership that we have with GOOS, the Global Ocean Observing System, which is also a global program under IUC that coordinates the ocean observations. And there's one panel that is coordinating the biology and ecosystems observations. And we partner with the MBON, the Marine Biodiversity Observation Network under the GEO, the Group on Earth Observations, who help us implement and set up monitoring programs. We are organized around essential ocean variables, or the EOVs, which are also heavily linked to the CBD Global Biodiversity Framework, because many of the targets and indicators are related to these EOVs. There are a number of Horizon Europe projects, Marco Polo and BioEco-Ocean, who are helping us with the coordination, the streamlining of the data flows and the training. With GOOS, we are working on setting up an ocean biodiversity observing monitoring system, which can support the monitoring of the implementation of the CBD Global Biodiversity Framework. We have a BioEco portal where we monitor who is measuring what, where, how, when, related to biodiversity monitoring. With support from NORAD and LifeWatch, we also updated our OBIS manual, which is now 169 pages. We have many how-to YouTube videos and have a master course on our Moodle platform. this is really important, as we noticed also recently in a training workshop that we organized a couple of months ago, where we had more than 400 applications to join that training course from 18 countries. There is still a huge need in training professionals in data management. So we manage biodiversity information, species observations, which can be occurrences, also abundance and biomass and behavior. And we integrate that information with other ecosystem information like environmental and climate variables, which is then important to do modeling like distribution range maps, see if there are any changes in shifts in the distribution ranges of species, which can then be used to as an early warning system. We also develop indicators and biodiversity indices. For example, for the CBD, we were asked to support the EPSA process, or the ecologically or biologically significant areas. There are a number of regional workshops to identify these areas, and we provided information products for those activities. OBIS is also supporting several global and regional ocean assessments. Like many of you will be familiar with the UN World Ocean Assessments. There are also assessments under the IPBES, the Intergovernmental Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services. IUC is also publishing assessments, for example, on harmful algal blooms, and recently the second edition of the State of the Ocean report was published by IUC. We did one chapter on marine biodiversity, where we, for example, identified the amount of species that occur in marine protected areas, and also especially what was fascinating as well, that we could identify 70% of the IUCN red list or endangered species that they are reported in MPAs. A lot of work is now being done to report on the impact of the warming seas on biodiversity. We can, for example, plot all the species distributions by temperature and see, of course, there is an optimum temperature, but we also see that some of the species are already occurring in very warmer waters than the majority of the population. So everything that's in that 5% percentile, we consider that those species are undergoing heat stress. And based on that information, we can do model predictions on which areas will lose species, or at least have a decrease in their population, and which areas will see an increase or a gain. And that's an important to identify which areas we should protect now, but also in the future, because some of these of the habitats will become hotspots in the future. That's then related to the CBD Target 3 of the Global Biodiversity Framework. This is a project also funded by the EU. It's called Marine Protected Areas Europe. We are supporting the harmful algal bloom assessments in IOC, and this map, you can see the number of HAP events that have an impact, an economic or human impact, and we can then see if that is related to actually an increase in monitoring effort by looking at the HAP occurrences in OBIS. And invasive species is also an important area where OBIS is very active in. So we are developing a decision support tool that helps in doing a risk analysis to see if species can establish a population in a certain area or not, based on the thermal affinity of species. So this was, for example, a detection of a tropical fish species in Tunisia, very far away from their native range, but based on the modeling, we can see that it occurs within the thermal range, and potentially will establish a population there. Of interest, and what I see more and more, is that we get lots of observations of these early detections through citizen scientists. Can be divers, but can also be children. This is an example of a project that we did with the World Heritage Center of UNESCO. We did an eDNA or environmental DNA expeditions. So we engaged more than 200 school children in sampling and filtering water, shipping the filters to a central lab to do the DNA sequencing. And so engage and increase the awareness of biodiversity in marine protected areas, starting from a very young age. And this is a very successful project. We are going to release the results very soon, and we're developing a dashboard where the school children can see the hundreds of fish species that we could identify in just filtering a few liters of water in their marine protected areas. To continue on the invasive species, we also have a project in Fiji where we are setting up an early detection, early warning system, monitoring system for invasive species, also using eDNA. It's called PACMAN, Pacific Islands Marine by Invasions Alert Network. This is, of course, very much linked to Target 6 of the Global Biodiversity Framework under the CBD, where the countries would like to reduce the number of introductions and impact by 50%. So we need to develop early detection methods and early easy identification methods. And eDNA and qPCR is one of those methods that we are developing in SITS. So we are, OBIS is developing support services for DNA research, for data access, training and capacity development, and we have a number of tools for data quality control, data management, data publication, data visualization. And my last slide, I would like to highlight a big conference that will be organized in October and 25 in Bogota, Colombia, together with TEDWIC, the Biodiversity Information Standards Working Group, GBIF, and GEOPON, and where we will also discuss the requirements and the implementation of how we can support the CBD Global Biodiversity Framework. Thank you for your attention, and if you have any questions, please reach out to me.